Good afternoon, and how should I say? Afternoon. I am really delighted, honored, and humbled that the government of Papua New Guinea has invited Bangladesh Economic Zones Authority to this Special Economic Zone Summit in Port Moresby. And personally, I am overwhelmed being in this beautiful country, country of mystery, country of natural heritage, and over 850 languages. I can't imagine what a rich country this is. And this is my first time, and it's wonderful to be here. And I would like to personally thank Honorable Richard Maru, the Minister, for being a wonderful host of this August gathering over here. And such a gathering it is. The Honorable Prime Minister is here, all the ministers, Member of Parliaments, like public representatives, elderlies, local government representatives, business leaders, all the MNCs I can see, diplomatic corps, civil voice, the religious leaders. I think only the missing was the rugby players, maybe, I think. So this is for the first time actually I am joining an event on economic zone with such a great or cross-section of participation. I think anybody and everybody of Papua New Guinea is here. And Honorable Minister, rest assured that you have already halfway through your success by the gathering we can think. And also it is a very intelligent act to also follow or to arrange, because within over 2 days you are learning the experiences of over 30 years from Kobayashi Sensei, from maybe 40 years from other countries. So learning experience or the good practices is a perfect way to start your own venture, your own initiative. So it is also a very prudent decision to have this kind of summit to learn from other good practices in the region. But let me start with kind of a disclaimer that my suit will not fit you. So whatever we have done, it may not be applicable for Papua New Guinea. This is first, you have to decide on your own what is your priority based on your reality and also the requirements of your own country. So you are the judge of your own future and the decisions you need to take. And another thing, my presentation may not have all the things that you actually looking for, because many a times you commit this mistake that we develop or we speak thinking what needs to be said rather thinking what they are expecting to hear. So I am trying my best, and let's hope you will get something from the Bangladesh experience. Bangladesh, as I have said, I think some of you may not know where actually Bangladesh is, and or you may not have much information about my country. Bangladesh is a small country located in South Asia, to northwest of Papua New Guinea, I'm sure. There is no direct flight, of course. I have to come through Singapore. It took me 4 hours and 6 hours, 2 flights to come to Port Moresby. Small country, as I have said, our area is only 148,000 square kilometers. So, which is roughly one third of Papua New Guinea. But we have got a huge population, 170 million people, 170, I haven't mistaken, 170 million people living in one third of Papua New Guinea. So you can imagine walking in the streets of my capital, Dhaka. And if you can compare that with walking in Port Moresby. And it is very densely populated, and we are also a parliamentary democracy. Our language is Bangla. From the language comes the name of the country, Bangladesh. Desh means country. So the people who speak Bangla, their name of the country is Bangladesh. That's easy. Capital is Dhaka. And we have got, in economic terms, our nominal GDP is around $460 billion right now, hovering around that region. So that much I would like to say about my country. And if I may take a little bit of pride about why Bangladesh is doing good in terms of economic development recently, then some of the factors that I may now recall is that we have got market access to all the big economies like America, the EU nations, and also countries like Japan. We have got duty-free, quota-free access, and Bangladesh is the second biggest manufacturer of apparel in the world. And the government is having very liberal industrial-friendly policy. And also we have got treaties with many countries, like investment promotion treaties and double taxation treaties, these kind of treaties. Of course, we are enjoying demographic dividend, young population, willing to learn and work. And also, we have got a constant GDP growth, high GDP growth, even during the COVID times, Bangladesh is maintaining. And also, this is per capita income is gradually increasing, and it also giving rise to this affluent middle class, which are again putting back to the consumer market and consumer demand. And Bangladesh is very strategically located. If you see the map, if you explore the map of the region, you'll find that it is strategically located in between Southeast Asia and South Asia, and in between two big economies, namely India and China. And cost of doing business in Bangladesh is still very low, which is very much attractive to investors from countries like Japan, China, Australia, EU countries, and America. Saying that, I'll be moving on to my presentation, but I'll be feeling more comfortable talking to you and learning from you, and also sharing our experiences through the process, rather focusing mainly on my presentation. Whatever development endeavor we are having in Bangladesh, it is driven by the philosophy of Father of the Nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, and under whose leadership we actually gained independence back in 1971. And his able daughter, Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, is actually who is actually the chairman of the governing board of Bangladesh Economic Zones Authority, and leading this economic zone concept in Bangladesh from the front. Initially, we started with export processing zones in Bangladesh back in the 1980s, but we moved on from EPZs to economic zones, and some of the factors which actually leading factors from the success of EPZs that like paved the way for the economic zones, like there is a demand for this industrialization, and also there is a kind of modifications in the mindset of the country, including the public sector and the private sector. But then again, the goals or the aspirations of the government and the country was not being fulfilled through EPZs, because EPZs actually they only address for the export-oriented industries, and their limit was very minimal. So the investment limit was not as much as we expected to be for a country like Bangladesh. So the government thought of this economic zone concept, which will be addressing both the export-oriented industries and as well as the domestic market. And there is no limit for this investment. And but these are all the academic things. For me, to be very precise and to be very easy, EPZ in Bangladesh was past, and BEZA or economic zone is the present and the future to work with or to invest in Bangladesh. That's the easier way to analyze. So, Bangladesh Economic Zones Act was promulgated back in 2010. It is BEZA, through this, BEZA was established. BEZA is an investment promotion agency. We have got 5 of these under the Prime Minister's office. BEZA is directly under the control of Prime Minister's office. It gives a kind of leverage to work within the government and also within the whole economy to get the things done in Bangladesh. We have got a 2-tier managerial structure. On top, we have got the governing board headed by the Honorable Prime Minister herself, and all the ministers and secretaries and the business people are there in the board. And under this, to look after the day-to-day activities, we have got this executive board, which is headed by our Honorable Executive Chairman, who is a former senior secretary to the government, bureaucrat for that matter. And we have got 3 executive members and officials. Some of them are deputed from the civil service and some of their BEZA own officials who run the show day to day. And of course, the objectives of BEZA to have planned industrialization in the country, to generate employment, to attract both domestic and foreign investment, and with this foreign investment, to have this technology transfer and other good things that should be coming from those foreign investors. And we have set up an initial mission that BEZA would like to establish 100 economic zones throughout the country by 2041, the deadline by which Bangladesh would like to be generated or augmented to a developed country status. And in the process, we'll be generating 10 million additional jobs and will produce $40 billion worth of products and exportables. And you'll be happy to know that by now, already government has approved 97 out of 100 of those economic zones. 10 are already in operation and 30 are in the process of being developed in various stages of development process. BEZA is fulfilling multiple roles. Of course, BEZA is the regulator of economic zones. All kinds of economic zones are being regulated by BEZA. BEZA is also acting as economic zone developer itself. That means the government-owned economic zones are being developed and run by BEZA. And also, of course, we are promoting this economic zone concept throughout Bangladesh and abroad to attract more investment. And what are the success? As you have seen, BEZA was only established back in 2010. But within this only a short span of time, BEZA achieved a bit. I may summarize that as you have already seen, Bangladesh is a land-scarce country, but BEZA has got a land bank of more than 60,000 acres to be developed as economic zone, which is huge in Bangladeshi context. And as I have already mentioned, 10 economic zones are already in operation. And in these economic zones, already we have received investment proposal to the tune of around 27 billion US dollars. 29 industrial units are already in operation, and around 40 are being constructed right now as I am talking. And we are delivering 125 government services through our one-stop service center. So an investor need not go to any offices to establish his industry in Bangladesh in economic zones. And out of those 125, 50 of them are being provided online. So you need not even come to BEZA office even. And the accumulated services for the investors till now is around the tune of 25,000 or more than 25,000. And through this process, what BEZA has done is unique in Bangladesh. As a government entity, BEZA has achieved the trust and confidence of the foreign investors, domestic investors, public sector, private sector, and as well as development partners also. Initially, BEZA or a government entity in Bangladesh needs to run behind the development partners. Now, development partners, I will not name, some of them are present over here, my friends. Now, they are eager to work with BEZA. That is the achievement of BEZA within these 12 years. And to deliver these services and our functions, BEZA need to formulate various acts, rules and regulations. Some of them may be applicable for PNG authority also. The basic rule is, of course, Bangladesh Economic Zones Act, which is our mother rule. Then BEZA was the actually initiator of one-stop service in Bangladesh. So we initiated this process. One-Stop Service Act was promulgated back in 2018, and of course now other investment promotion agencies like Bangladesh Investment Development Authority, they are also having their own one-stop service center following this One-Stop Service Act. And other Labor Act, developer rules, economic zones construction of building rules, and service regulation, these are already being formulated by BEZA. And for private economic zone, which is an important part of our endeavor, we have got a private economic zone policy which was formulated back in 2015, and we have got workers' welfare fund policies, visa and work permit for the foreign investors. Of course, there is a guideline for that, and for our own internal activities, we have got this delegation of financial and administrative things. Private economic zone rules now we are developing. And also, we are also developing a guideline for land allocation in the government economic zones. These are now being formulated. So what are the strengths, if I may accumulate or summarize, and why investors are kind of coming to Bangladesh economic zones? In a land-scarce country, to have adequate industrial unencumbered land is a big deal. So they are trying to come to economic zones in Bangladesh. We are providing uninterrupted utility facilities for the investors, incentives, both fiscal and non-fiscal, I'll be elaborating later, and simplified business procedure through our one-stop service center. And also, we have got access to market, both domestic market of 170 million, and also, of course, overseas market through being an export-oriented industry. Some of the fiscal incentives, just quickly I'll be going through. There are tax incentives, tax waiver is there, and also dividend tax, capital gain tax, no tax, VAT exemption on utilities. In economic zones, you have got the industry, you don't need to pay your value-added tax, and there will be no import duty on your capital machineries or your construction material for your factory. So these are very much attractive for any investor coming to Bangladesh. There are non-fiscal incentives also, like duty-free import and export of raw materials under the bond facilities. And also you have got a separate customs procedure, and BEZA is currently working to have this customs clearance to be done within the economic zones. So that will be our next step. So that an investor in an economic zone need not have this customs clearance procedure, which they have got some reservations sometimes, so that they can, after the importing the product, the commodity in the port, they can take it directly to their economic zone, and the customs clearance procedure will be done over there, which will be saving a lot of time, we believe. And also repatriation and disinvestment, sending dividend profit, there is no bar, you can 100% repatriate all these things. So these are also very much attractive for foreign investors. And similar facilities are also there for zone developers who will be developing economic zones on their own in Bangladesh. I would like to elaborate a little bit about our OSS center. I have said a little. It was established back in 2019 after the promulgation of the OSS Act in 2018. As you have said, 29 agencies, government agency services are being provided from under this one umbrella. There are focal points from all those entities, and we have got joint inspection or something. And also, now there is only one-stop service center in our headquarters, BEZA headquarters. But under an ongoing project funded by JICA, we are going to establish 2 regional centers in 2 of our biggest economic zones. That is, one is in the Japanese economic zone, and another is in our flagship project, BSMSM, we call it Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujib Shilponagar. So investors in those economic zones even need not come to Dhaka or into our central headquarters also. They can finish all the formalities in the regional centers. So after establishing these 2, subsequently what we will be doing based on the success of these regional centers, and these will be integrated with the central OSS, and we'll be going to establish OSS center in all our economic zones throughout Bangladesh. And how does this one-stop service work? We have got a standard operating procedure for all the services, all 125 services. We have stipulated this is the procedure you need to follow. And you have to submit these documents, you have to pay this kind of fee, and you'll be getting this service within this amount of time. So everybody or investor will be clear about what he needs to do and when he will be getting that services. There will be no lapse of time or anything. And 50 of the services are already being provided online. Some of the services already being provided online, you can see, like land allotment, visa assistance, export permit, import permit. These are very important. Day-to-day basis, the investors require these. So now, even they need not come to BEZA office, they can have these permits from their office via online. Here I have summarized like the whole process. Like many a times we find this query from the foreign investors, especially like what I need to do because I don't understand, and some of the investors even they don't understand Bangla or English. Like countries from Asian region, they struggle sometimes with our laws because they don't understand the procedure in the country. So very easily we have summarized this whole process. Like if you have decided to come to or invest in an economic zone in Bangladesh, what are the procedures you need to follow step by step that we have summarized over here. So you can go through these, some of the services that are being provided by BEZA, those are in blue, and the services that are being provided by other government entities are in red, like stipulated tentative time that will be required, whole process from applying for investment registration, going through like the whole process of gaining land or getting the allotment of the land, then like getting the permission to construct your factory, during the factory construction, what are the process you need to follow, and subsequently or even after construction of the factory, like before commercial operation or during the commercial operation, what are the permissions or permits that you need to require. Whole process we have summarized very easily, and with this flowchart you can easily understand what is going on actually in Bangladesh economic zones. Now, like let's move on to some economic zones category. Like what are the basically Bangladesh, based on the process, we have categorized all the economic zones in broadly 6 categories. Of course, there are private economic zones that are totally run by a private entity. They own their own land and they decide the land leasing rate and everything, or the service rate and everything. BEZA only acts as a regulator to look after the interest of both the developer and the investor. So there are around 12 private economic zones already that we have given licenses to, and some are in the process also. The second category that I would like to mention specifically and with some importance, that is G2G economic zone, which we consider to be very unique and working very good for Bangladesh. This is a government-to-government basis. 2 governments decide that let's develop an economic zone in Bangladesh for foreign investors, or even domestic investors may come into that economic zone. Then that particular government will decide a developer on their side, and BEZA then will have negotiation with that particular developer and have like agreements. And then if it is like that, we have set up something like that, we'll be having a joint venture or we'll establish an SPV, then BEZA can be also an equity partner, and that particular company can be equity partner. We can formulate an SPV, and then subsequently we'll be developing the economic zone together. So in this process, already we have established Bangladesh Special Economic Zone, we called it, but generally people call it Japanese Economic Zone, which is very near to Dhaka, and it is being developed by Sumitomo Corporation of Japan, and BEZA is also an equity partner, as JICA has also come into operation, and they are also our equity partner. So BEZA, JICA, and Sumitomo Corporation are the equity partners of this Japanese economic zone. This is being established over a land area of 1,000 acres, And already we have started allotting land in this particular economic zone. The third type is public-private partnership economic zone. There is a huge discussion about public-private partnership, but in case of BEZA, we are not that much enthusiastic till now about the result of our economic zone. For some reasons, we have got these kind of PPP economic zones, but their result is not as good as those like G2G economic zones yet. So we are trying our best to bring them also on board and make them more effective, but we are not that much satisfied with the performance of those PPP economic zones. Actually, PPP economic zones is nothing outside the whole PPP context of the country. The success of PPP projects in a country depends on the preparation of the matrix of PPP matrix of that country, you well know. So if the PPP matrix, the general PPP matrix of a country is not mature enough, like maybe UK or some other countries, the PPP projects of that country, whatever it is economic zone or like industry or whatever, a road or like service delivery, PPP or whatever, it will not be functional that much or deriving that much benefit to the society for that matter. And there are some special purpose economic zones, especially BEZA has got 3 these kind of tourism parks. All of those are for tourism industry. In the tourism district of Bangladesh, which is to the southeast, Cox's Bazar district, we are developing 3 tourism parks, and I'll be coming to those later. And maybe some of you may be asking like, where are the IT things? For IT parks, we have got a separate entity in Bangladesh. Another investment promotion agency is there. We call it High-Tech Park Authority. They are taking care of developing around 29 high-tech parks all over Bangladesh. So that is their jurisdiction. BEZA, we are not developing any IT parks right now. Another one is an economic zone developed by other government entities. So we have talked about export processing zone. BEZA used to take care of those. And now BEZA has come on board with BEZA, and now they are developing economic zones, taking land from us. So BEZA is another government entity taking land from BEZA, they are developing an economic zone. So this is another type of economic zone, and rest of the economic zones, of course, the government owned or BEZA owned economic zones. There are some of the prominent economic zones in and around 2 of our main cities, capital Dhaka, and our second biggest port city of Chattogram. So these are not exhaustive or exclusive, of course. There are other economic zones all over Bangladesh. I have mentioned only a few over here. Now let's start with our biggest project, that is our flagship project. We very fondly named it after our father of the nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. We call it Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman Shilponagar or Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Industrial City. Actually, it comprises of 3 economic zones. So we have made it an industrial city for itself. It is on the land of 33,800 acres for government establishment on 33,000 acres, which is around 120 square kilometers. So it is huge, and we are developing it step by step gradually. And there are central CETPs will be there. There will be green zone. Thanks to my friend Dario over here, we are working to establish a green and resilient economic zone in part of this Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Shilponagar. And there will be, as it is on the bank of Bay of Bengal, we will be having access to the sea, which is also an attraction factor for the investors in BSMSN. And BSMSN, the industrial operation of some units, actually started on 20th November last year. So Honorable Prime Minister formally inaugurated the commercial operation in BSMSN. So you can say BSMSN is an operational economic zone already. This is the master plan of BSMSN. I think already Kobayashi Sensei or Dario has shown you this, and it is being developed by the support of World Bank. This master plan was developed, and it is being zoned in various based on purpose: heavy industry, light industry, administrative area, residential area. So it is totally planned, and now we are implementing it gradually. And one unique phenomena in developing BSMSN and other economic zones that BEZA has done successfully, that is, BEZA has taken this initiative to bring all government entities on board to get their services. Because BEZA is only a regulator developing economic zones. BEZA cannot construct like roads or utility facilities or like embankments on its own. And BEZA doesn't have that huge amount of financial leverage also. So BEZA is coordinating or leveraging its role as an IPA and using or utilizing the support of all the government entities. Like for example, we have got Water Development Board in Bangladesh who develops embankment and canals and irrigation canals and everything. So BEZA is taking their support to have this 20-kilometer long, 19-kilometer long super dike along the Bay of Bengal. So it is their development project. From their budget, they have developed for the protection of BSMSN from the tidal surge. So BEZA has just being an instigator for this process. Similarly, Road and Highways is developing the connecting roads with the national highway for this particular zone. And the gas company is providing the gas connectivity. The power grid company is providing the connectivity. So BEZA is coordinating and as the leveraging its role as an IPA with the support of Prime Minister's office. That was also very vital, like to bring on board all these government entities. Because we know, those of us who work under bureaucracy, we know about our ego issues and everything. So sometimes things don't work that quickly in the government machineries. But when the Prime Minister's office come into play, things get very easy in countries like Bangladesh. So BEZA, being under the direct supervision of the Prime Minister's office, is getting this job done easily and providing services, required services to the investors. And some of the facilities I'm just quickly showing you. The super dike already we have constructed. In total it is 22.5 kilometers. Then there is this grid line and grid substation which is connecting to the national grid for power. Then we have got this like own power plant within BSMSN. We have got this national highway connecting to the national highway with this BSMSN. We have got our gas distribution network already is in place in BSMSN. And this is the administrative building already we have developed in BSMSN to look after the issues over. This is the first one, or maybe we'll be having some more in BSMSN to look after the BEZA activities over there. And also, we have developed this water reservoir to preserve water and also to have this discharge of water and to protect the environment also for BSMSN. And this is perhaps the biggest lake, man-made lake in Bangladesh. And we have named it after Honorable Prime Ministers, of course. And to develop further BSMSN, Dario has already mentioned about this. The World Bank has financed a huge project for BSMSN development. It's around $467 million to be exact. It's a 5 years long project, and we'll be developing various infrastructures under this particular project in the coming years, including roads, network, and like water plants, CETP, and some emergency response center. There will be healthcare centers. And also, under this project, we'll be providing skill development training to around 22,000 people. And many of them, maybe in the coming days, will be working in the industries of this particular Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujib industrial city. And this is, of course, price and the money already is very important. Money talks. The land price, which is very competitive in comparison to the regional context and also in Bangladesh context, which is very cheap in comparison to the private economic zones also. So in BSMSN, which is our #1 actually government-owned economic zone, you can have this land for initially 50 years, and you need to pay per square meter to the tune of $50 for developed land, which the BEZA will be developing for you. You can also have in a cheaper price, then you have to develop it by yourself. And this is the upfront process, and also there is a annual rental basis also we lease lands to the potential investors. And moving on to some other economic zones, not all, some of the prominent economic zones. This is Jamalpur economic zone. It is situated to the northwest of the capital Dhaka, over an area of 437 acres. And particularly this zone is becoming very popular for medium industries, medium-sized industries, and also agro-based industries. This area is very good. So we are already allotting land, and some investors are developing their factories over there already. This is the map of the Japanese economic zone. So you can see it is only around 32 kilometers away from Dhaka. It takes actually less than an hour to drive from the Dhaka city center. And we have got Sumitomo has got 61% equity, BEZA 24%, and JICA 15% equity ownership of this particular Japanese economic zone. Honorable Prime Minister also inaugurated formally Japanese economic zone last year, on 6th of December. Actually, last year was the 50th year of establishment of diplomatic relationship in between Bangladesh and Japan. So this was one of the milestones of celebrating that particular year through this Japanese economic zone in Bangladesh. I mentioned about 3 tourism parks of BEZA. We have got Sabrang Tourism Park, southmost tip of Bangladesh, just on the bank of Bengal, over around 1,000 acres. And we have got a Naf Tourism Park. In between Bangladesh and Myanmar, there is a river called Naf. In this river, there is a small island, and we are developing it as an economic zone. And of course, we have got Shonadia Ecotourism Park also. It is a huge piece of land we have got, more than 10,000 acres, 9 to 10,000 acres of land. So, and then we have got plan to develop a special ecotourism park, maintaining the unique biodiversity of this particular area. And maybe some investor from Papua New Guinea can come up with your expertise and knowledge in developing such ecotourism park in Bangladesh. We are waiting for you over there. And there is another one, Maheshkhali economic zone. It is also part of that island, Maheshkhali, and it is particularly very important because with the support of JICA, Bangladesh is developing its first deep sea port called Matarbari Deep Sea Port, and this particular zone is very near to that deep sea port. The Matarbari Deep Sea Port has a draft of around 18 meters. So all the big ocean-going vessels can now come to Bangladesh in Matarbari Deep Sea Port after this. And we have got also huge potential also to cater to the needs of not only Bangladesh, also to the northeastern states of India, which are kind of landlocked, and also landlocked countries, our neighbors like Bhutan and Nepal. And also Japan is coming into picture, because as this was developed with the assistance of Japan, and Japan is going to help Bangladesh being the manufacturing hub for these area. So through Matarbari port, we can import or export the commodities, and we can use Bangladesh and Bangladesh economic zones as the manufacturing base to serve the India, Nepal and Bhutan. And these will be benefiting regional economy also in a big way in the coming days. And the Green Economic Zone Initiative, BEZA, that is adhering to, you have heard a little bit from our previous speakers. BEZA is developing Green and Resilient Economic Zone guideline to be followed in economic zones gradually. And also, we are supporting grant support for construction of facilities or infrastructures like green industries in economic zone. There will be grant support. We are developing CTP, solid waste treatment plants, solar energy facilities will be there. Only in BSMSN we have got a target to establish 72 megawatt of solar facilities in BSMSN alone. and we are also developing green belt to protect these onshore facilities also. And also, as I mentioned, we are developing water bodies and also planting trees in various economic zones under BEZA. And also, we are developing we are trying to convert our economic zones as smart cities with proper monitoring, for that matter, taking care of everything from security measures to also environmental monitoring about the environmental parameters. We are going to establish these facilities. There will be central command and control center, which will be having 24 hours on board, and the data will be processed and if required will be shared with the authorities also, and we'll be monitoring all the investors and their discharge and everything, and also of course ensuring the security in the process also. So I'm already almost at the end of my presentation. You can see some of the big players and investors that have already accumulated in various economic zones in Bangladesh, starting from Sumitomo. Then we have got other Japanese giants like Honda, Nippon Steel, and also SEZs, Japanese another consumer giant Lion. And there are some other foreign entities like Asian Paints from India, Adani Group, also Berger from UK, and also Teak from Australia, Sika from Germany, a global brand Linde, and Siam Gas from Thailand, and other Bangladeshi entities, big players. Unilever is also there. So these companies have already either they have constructed their factories, or they are in the process of establishing their factories after getting the land from economic zones, both in public economic zones and also some are working in the private economic zones in Bangladesh. And I have mentioned about development partners working with BEZA. We are grateful for their support. World Bank and IFC, they have come in a big way to support our development initiative. JICA is always beside us. Right now, developing 2 projects are actually we are having with the JICA support. Indian government, Indian economic zone. I mentioned about only the Japanese economic zone, G2G. There are 3 more G2G economic zones that are being developed, 2 with India and 1 with China. So Indian economic zone, those zones are being developed under Indian line of credit. ADB, Asian Development Bank, is also supporting us, so that DFID and World Bank Group also. So these development partners in various ways, in various stages, are supporting BEZA to achieve its goal of having industrial proliferation in Bangladesh. BEZA is also fulfilling its social responsibilities, starting from having a green economic zone, planting trees or afforestation. BEZA is also distributing relief in the time of need to the people in need. Also, we are building houses for the homeless people. If somebody loses his homestead, we are developing a replacement home for that particular family. And also, we are training local people. I have mentioned the figure of 22,000 under one particular project. We are giving skill development training to these people, and who in return again will be contributing to the benefit of the investors in our economic zones. So why FDI should be coming to Bangladesh? FDI is not an easy thing to get these days especially, but I think we have got some leverages that we can offer. Of course, in terms of demarcation of production, as you understand, that you need to go somewhere else or in second production facilities. You cannot or you should not produce all your components in one place. So why not you explore Bangladesh for the foreign investors? For your expansion, you're having for example, you're having your first factory in China, second factory in Thailand, you can have your third unit in Bangladesh. And after this COVID pandemic and this supply chain disruption, this is the rational thing to do, to have these facilities in various places. And Bangladesh is going to be a manufacturing hub as I have mentioned, like catering to the needs of our neighbors, and this connectivity and access to the Northeast India, Nepal and Bhutan is going to bring more investment in Bangladesh. Bangladesh can be an important part of the global supply chain integration after this whole supply chain disruption thing. And of course, an investor should take into consideration the huge potential of Bangladesh, 170 million people market, and also 170 million people country as a workforce. So these are very much attractive for any investor coming to Bangladesh. Some of the positive development, this is actually some figures very much relevant to the Japanese. Japan Bank for International Construction have got this annual survey, JBIC. They conduct their annual survey, and for last 2 years, Bangladesh is remaining within the top 20. Actually, Bangladesh place is 16th. So based on the confidence of the Japanese investors who are operating abroad. And if you see the other names, other economies, if you compare, Bangladesh actually is maybe the weakest among the top 16, but we are maintaining this confidence among the Japanese investors. So you can imagine the support they are being getting from the Bangladesh service providers. And also, Bangladesh has been included in a list of the subsidies being provided by the Japanese government. If a Japanese entity shifts its production base from China to other countries, if it brings to Bangladesh, they will be getting subsidy. So we are expecting upcoming surge of Japanese relocating industries in Bangladesh, hopefully. And if I summarize, if an investor from Papua New Guinea or any other country would like to come to Bangladesh, where you can go? I can just summarize in 3 places already have mentioned. Of course, the Japanese economic zone is very near to Dhaka. If you want to remain in Dhaka city, then you have got a big project, the biggest project, BSMSN, our flagship project. And another area is particularly important due to the presence of this deep sea port is Mohashkhali Matarbari area. We call it Mohashkhali Matarbari Integrated Development Initiative, or MEDI. Over an area of 90,000 acres, we are establishing various facilities including deep sea port, power plants, LNG plants and others. So that is another attractive destination for any foreign investor in the coming days in Bangladesh. And these are some of the projects, supporting project for foreign investors. There is one funded by JICA for investment promotion, and also you can have we are also, as Bangladesh is going to be elevated from LDC to medium income country, we'll be losing our status of these facilities as we are getting those as LDCs. So Bangladesh is now contemplating on having various trade treaties, multilateral and bilateral trade treaties, or economic partnership agreement with various countries in the coming days to negate the effect of this graduation from LDC. And there are challenges, of course, to move forward. One particular challenge that I am understanding sitting over here since morning is land, of course. Same thing is in Bangladesh. As a small country, land acquisition, in establishing anything in economic zone or something like that, both in public sector and private sector, is always a complicated issue. Basically, BEZA wants to establish economic zone on government lands, if possible. And it is very difficult actually, because you have to compensate. And actually nobody likes to give up his or her own land for any matter, for that matter. So it is always difficult to actually acquire private land. So land acquisition is always a challenge. Then there is a land development issue. It requires huge amount of money. And also for the infrastructure, the connectivity, the utilities, you have to spend money to ensure quality infrastructure and connectivity for your investors. So these things matter for the financing of those projects, and also ensuring quality utility, uninterrupted quality connections. Bangladesh has graduated a lot in terms of electricity generation. There is no shortage of electricity in Bangladesh right now. So we are in a kind of a softer situation for that matter. But in some of the economic zones, providing water is a challenge for Bangladesh. It's becoming a challenge to ensure adequate water supply for the investors. That is a challenge. And then waste management. This is also becoming a challenge day by day. having proper effluent treatment plant of international standard is also very important. And also to select the real and proper investors. That investor who will be investing properly, establishing its factory within stipulated time is also very important. Maybe there can be some investors who will be just getting the land and will not be establishing a factory, waiting for some future benefits, and will be hampering the proper industrial development. So this is not actually welcomed by BEZA or the government. So we are also very cautious about selecting the potential investors, for that matter, both foreign and local investors. And OSS is also very important. The service provided to like investors is very important, especially the investors I can say from Japan. They don't like at all to move from door to door, and they are very much fond of our OSS center. And also after like investment service, or maybe another term can be troubleshooting mechanism, maybe as Kobayashi Sensei has mentioned. These are also very important to bring more investors or continue the investment flow or upsurge from that particular country is also very important. So that much is my presentation, but I will have some final thoughts maybe. You can say some maxims, maybe I can, if I can accumulate. All of us are striving for having the chunk of pie of the whole FDI pie. But FDI, getting FDI in a country like Bangladesh or Papua New Guinea is not that easy. It is very difficult. The FDI inflow in developing countries or LDC countries are getting shrinking year by year for that matter. It is very difficult to get a big chunk of FDI. It is very difficult to like get, you cannot just overnight like expect that you'll be getting $10 billion and $20 billion of FDI stock in your country. It's difficult. You have to strive a lot for that matter. Country image matters. Maybe I am wearing this suit which I bought last week in Tokyo, and Kobayashi Sensei is wearing the same suit from the same shop in Tokyo. It doesn't matter. What it matters is I am from Bangladesh. An investor will be like assessing on that, like where are you from? You are from Bangladesh, and then he will decide. And sometimes these stereotype information that is being flooded, like sometimes negative information about countries like us, countries like Papua New Guinea, it doesn't help. So this country image matters, and there should be a concerted, planned effort to enhance image. The country image is very important to attract foreign investment. And of course, there is no free lunch. Nobody will be coming to you to give you anything and everything as an altruistic manner or the benevolent manner. And everybody will be coming here for their own profit. Rest assured about that. And another thing, take it for granted. Uncertainty is now name of the game. In last 3 or 4 years, what have we faced in the world? We didn't know about COVID. We didn't know about the war in Europe. We didn't know about trade war between the two big economies of the world, and how it is hampering countries like Bangladesh, or maybe for that matter Papua New Guinea. So from now, you have to take into consideration all these in planning anything and everything for your own investment, for developing a special economic zone, for formulating the economic policy of the country. You have to have take into consideration that something may happen down the line. Maybe 2 years from now, there will be another issue, another pandemic may come, another war may be over in the Pacific, or something. So you have to take into consideration of these uncertainties and the risks and the challenges and of all these things coming with this. And finally, to take forward this SEZ phenomena in Papua New Guinea or any country for that matter, we need, or you need, a champion. Yes, of course there will be government policies, there will be government departments and authorities, but there should be somebody, some person, some leaders who will be taking forward this mantle and pushing through everything and convincing everybody. There should be people like Dr. Kobayashi. I don't know how he is doing this over 30 years, moving from country to country, provoking for this economics and concept. Commendable job he is doing. He's been there in Bangladesh for how many years, I don't know. And you are lucky. Maybe you have got your Prime Minister, in your Minister, Honorable Richard Maru. Maybe we are having that champion who will be taking forward this SEZ initiative in the coming days in the Papua New Guinea. We are looking forward to the success, and Bangladesh Economic Zone Authority, and for that matter, Bangladesh will be always beside you in your endeavor. Thank you very much.